Hi everyone, I just got this new Akaso Keychain device and wanted to give you my thoughts and impressions on it. As you know, I take a lot of video for my YouTube channel, so I'm always looking for ways to streamline the setup and minimize the amount of gear that I have to take with me. So when I saw the Akaso Keychain come up on Indiegogo last November, I jumped at the chance. Also not too bad that the price tag was only $99, so I figured why not give it a try. The bad news is that although the device was supposed to ship before Christmas, I ended up waiting until middle of January before it was shipped out, and then it took almost another 2 months before the device arrived at my house. So 3 months later, we finally have this in hand, and let's take a look if it was worth the wait.
So here it is, the Akaso Keychain Ultra Lightweight 4K Vlog Camera. On the back, it shows us what's inside the box. You've got the camera and some accessories, the carry-on case, the pivot stand, a magnet board, and an easy clip. So these are all different mounting options. And it also has a USB-C cord for charging. On the side, it shows some of the features of the camera. It has enhanced image stabilization 2.0, shoots video at 4K 30 frames per second, takes 20 megapixel photos, and is IP56 water resistant. Also has a 124-degree field of view and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi built in, so you can communicate with it from your smartphone, and a couple other camera options. You can shoot in slow motion or time-lapse. So let's take a look inside the box. So I opted to get the black keychain version. You can see it's fairly small. It's about 2 inches big. And underneath here, got all the accessories. This looks like a lanyard, so this would be for the keychain mount. You can use this by wearing it around your wrist and attaching to the keychain case. There's the USB cable. Looks pretty standard. And on this side, some of the different mounts. So this here is the magnet board. So the camera itself has a magnet on it, and it would clip onto here. If you put it on either side of your shirt, you could wear it that way and then use it as a body-mounted camera. Here's a clip. Again, it attaches to it by magnet, so you would clip the camera in there and then attach it onto something else for mounting. And this is the keychain case. So this is a flexible silicone case. You'd put the camera right in there, and then on the end, here's where you would attach that lanyard that we saw earlier, so if you wanted to carry the camera with you. And the camera itself, if we take this out, there you go. So it's currently mounted in the pivot stand. You could sit that on a desk or attach it to another base. Looks like it does have some sticky on the bottom, so if you wanted to mount that securely. So let's take it out of the mount and see what it looks like. And there's the size of the camera. You can see I can hold it in the palm of my hand here. And there's not too much to it. It's got a couple of buttons on the side. You use these buttons to power on and off the device, as well as enable the Wi-Fi. And on the front here, again, I got the black option, so you can see it's got a shiny finish to it. And in the bottom of the device, you have the USB-C port for charging. So this device has a built-in internal battery. And this is also where you'd put your micro SD card. You'd have to buy a micro SD card. It's not included. And there it is. So let's take a look at how we get this camera set up. So I installed the AKASO Go app. No issues getting it downloaded. And the first thing I have to do is connect the keychain. So it goes through a few steps. Basically, you power on the device. You click the button again to enable the Wi-Fi. And then once that's done, we're going to click down here and select the device's Wi-Fi to create a connection with my smartphone. You'll be able to recognize the Wi-Fi name because of the pattern that's used for all of these Akaso keychains. So they all start with SNKC _ and then a series of digits, and enter the code. And once I click connect here, it's just going to verify that this network doesn't have any internet access. I'm going to say yes, stay connected. And here we go. The app is connected and I can see a live preview of the image from my device. Up top, it shows me how much time is left on my micro SD card, as well as the current battery level for the device. Going into settings, I can update the firmware, and it says I've already done this, so I'm currently on the latest version. I can select the image stabilization mode, either turning it off or super smooth. I can choose whether or not I want the device to auto-rotate. So as I'm moving around, do I want it to pivot the view from vertical to horizontal automatically? It's got a wind noise reduction option. Now here's the difference between the white and the black models. The original specs for the white models had the fill light built into the hardware, but what they failed to say was that the black version wasn't going to have the fill light hardware built in. So even though I see the option here, because I decided to go with the black camera, I don't have a fill light available. Some of the other options, you can decide whether or not you want a date stamp automatically imprinted on the video. And you also have the option to set how long the device waits before automatically powering down. So 1, 3, or 5 minutes if you want to conserve battery life. So down below here, you can see your recording options. You have your video option. You can choose to have a loop recording. And as I said before, you can choose to use the time-lapse mode or do a slow motion video. And it does take still photos as well. It says it's a 20 megapixel photo. So if I switch over here, I can click and take a photo. So enough on the setup. Let's get out and give this a try. So when you line up the images side by side, you can see the Akaso Keychain on the left and the GoPro Hero 8 Black on the right. Both are relatively decent, but one thing I noticed right away is that the GoPro is more saturated and the contrast is set higher, whereas the Akaso Keychain, the colors come out a little bit more dull, but still decent, and you can adjust those in post. And the other thing that stands out is the image stabilization. The image stabilization is supposed to be set on for the Akaso Keychain, but you can see how the image jumps around quite a bit more than the GoPro on the right-hand side, and the GoPro's image is pretty rock solid. Getting up a little closer, you can also see that the detail on the GoPro is a little sharper, although the image on the Akaso Keychain is still fairly respectable considering the price point. This is the raw, unprocessed audio. First, let's take a listen to the GoPro. This is the GoPro Hero 8 Black audio. Should be in relatively close range. We'll see what that sounds like. And on the other side, the Akaso Keychain. This is the Akaso Keychain audio. Same distance away as the GoPro Hero 8. I actually have them mounted to the same base. So overall, I like the device. The major inconvenience is just the microphone. As you can see, it's only got the one pinhole mic in there, and as a result, you can tell that the audio quality on the Akaso Keychain compared to the GoPro is not up to par. So because of that, I don't think this is quite there to become an independent vlogging device. I still think I might be able to find uses for it as a secondary camera, maybe for shooting B-roll or in specific cases where I want to wear the camera and don't want to be holding the camera. But again, in those cases, I probably would be doing something else with the audio. I wouldn't be using the audio from the Akaso Keychain itself. I wanted to give you a few tips on some of the things I've had to troubleshoot along the way. One of the comments that I've seen from other owners of the Akaso Keychain is that they were unable to update the firmware. What I found is that you're not able to update the firmware unless you have an SD card inserted. So try putting the SD card in and then connect it to the app and try doing that firmware update, and hopefully it works for you like it did for me. The other thing that I've noticed is sometimes the device freezes, so I've actually had to use the pin that was included with the device to insert and do a hard reset. And then after that happens, I'm able to reconnect it to the app and sort of reinitialize it. The other issue that I've had is not being able to connect to the Wi-Fi on the device from my smartphone app. If that happens, what I've had to do is go into the Wi-Fi settings and forget the network and then reconnect from scratch. If you forget the network and try again, that seems to let it do the connection properly. If you have any other questions about the device, let me know. Leave some comments in the comments below. And until next time, it's time to exit through the gift shop.